Welcome everybody this morning to our Leadership. Thanks for coming. Today we're going to be talking about financial aid and a little bit more specifically the regulations about some of the regulations about financial aid to give everybody a better understanding about how financial aid works. Some of the items that we will be discussing, we'll introduce ourselves, and then we're going to talk about protecting student information, the Satisfactory Academic Progress Standards, which is known as SAP, a lot of people refer to it as, the appeal process for non-satisfactory academic progress, return to Title IV funds, also known as R2T4, the federal definition of a regular student, and eligible program of study. And then we'll have a Q&A at the end for y'all. So those of you that don't know me, I'm Exsa Smith. I'm the Assistant Director of Financial Aid.
Good morning, I'm Bill Osborn, the Director of Financial Aid at Eastern Arizona College. Hi.
Hello. So if y'all ever have questions, we're available anytime. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is protecting student information. This is regulation. There's several regulations that talks about this, including the Title V of the GLBA, the HEA, which is Higher Educational Act, FERPA, there's just several that do. And within these regulations, it says that each institution must ensure that all federal student aid application information is protected from access by or disclosure to unauthorized personnel. So we've implemented some ways to help keep that safety, keep everything secure. One of the things that the school has actually done is they did a leadership on information security best practices, which if y'all haven't seen it, it's really good. I know it's recorded. It's worth your effort watching it. It teaches you ways to keep stuff secure, personal information. So there's, not identity theft and all your stuff's getting out there to the wrong hands. Something that I like to think about is, I know sometimes like my information got stolen or whatever for Maricopa Community College because that's where I applied before I got here. But anyways, so they had information on their database about me, and so now they're doing the checks for me for like a year for free. And so one of the things that I think about for the security of stuff is think about, for me, like I'm kind of annoyed that why wasn't their stuff more secure? And so for me, when I have students' information, I'm like, okay, well, if this is my information, am I just gonna like throw it across the table and say, here, scan this, here's somebody's information? Or am I gonna turn it face down and say, hey, when you get a chance, scan this in, lock it up, shred it, because it has people's information. So I just try to keep that in mind, that do with other people's information that I want them to do with mine. So another way, so the other thing is we have FERPA forms and also the Gila Dropbox that we use to help with protecting students' personal information. FERPA forms, this is the FERPA form that is used by the college. You can get it online, and it gives students, or gives other people permission, third parties or parents, whatnot, for us to discuss their personal information. And it does need to be signed in front of an EAC employee, an authorized EAC employee, usually the records office or financial aid. And if not, then it needs to be notarized, and so then that helps us to protect students' identity.
So students, if they're going to email this form, or they can get it online at our forms. It's hard to find it in the admissions and records area, so it's kind of hard to locate this form. We have them in our office, and we email them to students and stuff, because parents, because they're giving financial aid their information, they think that they should have free access to look at their student stuff. Well, it's my stuff. Well, once it comes through the FAFSA to us, it's the student stuff. And they say, well, he's still living with me. Well, that's true, but after they become a college student, they are protected by privacy. Even if they're under 18, they're still protected by privacy if they become a college student. So we can't talk to them. And the other thing with this form, is, well, we filled it out already. Some of the forms were good for 1 year. There was an expiration date on them. Now they're open, right?
Yeah.
So once they give permission, they've granted it. So some of them expired, and some of them are a lifetime, and they have to come in and rescind it if they want it rescinded.
Something else that we just barely implemented in the last couple months is the new Gila Hank Dropbox. When we require documents from students, in the past, they could, fax, email, bring them in, mail them into us. We're doing away with and not requesting students to send in documents via email anymore because it's not as secure. And so we have the Gila Hank Dropbox. All students have access to it, not even if they don't have to be financial aid recipients. But you would just go to the Gila Hank, and then you click on the money section and then financial aid. And then right here at the bottom, there's the option for the Dropbox. So it's in there, it's working, and so we let the financial aid recipients know to go there if they want to update or upload their documents. So just so that y'all are aware, so you can direct them to that as well.
Do they get through the Dropbox too through you guys have that special program where I can't remember what it's called, but My Financial Aid?
Yeah,
they
we
go in through there and then can get access to the Dropbox, or is it two separate different places to get in?
It's two separate. Unfortunately, we looked in the My Financial Aid and we couldn't. There wasn't an option to allow that to load like that. So the next best thing was going through the Gila Hank. So
they would go first to My Financial Aid to find out what's missing,
Mm-hmm.
and then anything they need, then they go back through Gila Hank and then go to the Dropbox and put their stuff in there.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So they can print off their document through the My Financial Aid,
Gotcha.
but just to re-emphasize, we don't want anything by email anymore, or yeah,
If possible.
By-
Who's-
and we don't ask for it anymore. If they send it to us by email, that's their choice.
And we'll accept it and everything, but we're doing away with sending personally identifiable information via email. So whether it's socials, names, dates of birth and stuff. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the Satisfactory Academic Progress Standards. This is a regulation comes from the Code of Federal Regulations. And basically, an institutional satisfactory academic progress policy, known as SAP, must be reasonable and meet both the qualitative, which is the GPA, and quantitative, which is the completion rate, criteria of the federal regulations. So here at EAC, we do have those standards, and I know a lot of students are, why do I have to have this? Why do I have to do this? Because if you think about it, they're getting money to go to school, and to graduate, you have to have a 2.0. You can't just take classes and drop, and you have to be in good standing if they want to get the support from the government. So the qualitative minimum is a 2.0 GPA cumulatively for students to be eligible for financial aid, and they must complete 67% of the credits that they attempt. So, and then this also must be done within 150% time frame. So it basically gives students an extra half time to achieve their goal. So most degrees here at EAC are 64 credits. They get 96 credits to get it. So they get another full year to get a 2-year degree. So. Some of the other standards that we have for financial aid is that if students can fail a course as many times, or retake a course as many times until they pass it, once they pass it, then they can take it one more time for a better grade. So if a student gets an A, we're not going to pay them financial aid for it again, but if they keep taking it, withdraw, then they can take it for a better grade, or once they get a passing grade, then they can take it for a better grade one more time. So
So when they take the HPE classes multiple times and get an A or a P every time, we'll pay for it one
Just that
time.
one time.
Okay.
And then I don't think it counts as well for their degree either, because I don't think they can keep counting as their
It's
elective.
going to count at 150%
Mhm,
of the
yes.
time, so it's better to have them
Complete it
an
and
A
then,
or a B or whatever, above a C the first time.
Yes.
You have to repeat it.
Yes.
and then take another class that's
Okay.
that's needed as an elective or whatnot, or for that category.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah. So, and just keep in mind that withdrawals, failures, and incompletes are not successfully completed grades, courses. So, and then remedial classes. We do allow for remedials. Students are allowed to take 1 full year of remedial credits. So, which for us is 28 credits, because that's after 28 credits, you're considered a sophomore. So their full freshman year can be 28
Is that part
credits.
of their 150% though?
Oh wait, actually no, it's not. So that 150, so the 28 remedials do not count in that 96. Yeah. So those are kind of freebies.
Probably not to them. They don't.
They don't- I know, it's like, they're like,
They have to
I just
take
did
more
this.
classes.
Take them and pay for them. Yes.
Another policy is that students can earn a maximum of 2 associate's degrees and 3 certificates within that 150% time frame. So even if they still only have, for whatever reason, I've only seen this, I don't even know if we've ever seen this happen, but if
Once or twice.
have you?
Yeah, in
So-
3 years.
So if a student is below 96 credits and they have 2 associates and 3 certificates, we're not going to pay them anymore, because it's kind of like, move on, go get your bachelor's degree, get it, get it done. So,
Can they qualify for more Pell when they go on for their bachelor's?
yeah. So students are eligible for Pell Grant up until their bachelor's. So,
Wow, so you can waste a lot of time and spend a lot of the government's money going to school at a community college.
and have
But-
nothing to show for it.
There is
Yeah,
a new
but
rule
there's-
that, and we didn't talk about,
We haven't talked about it yet, but we can
Is
talk
it
about it
coming
now.
up?
Yeah, we will. We can talk about it now.
Go ahead.
But yeah, there is a rule that just came into effect, last year I think it was, that there's a limit now for Pell Grants. So you can get 600%, that's lifetime max that you can get. So 600% is 6 full-time school years. So if you went fall and spring full-time, that's 100%. So you basically get 150% to get your bachelor's degree. So you're getting 6 full-time years to get your 4-year degree. So there is a limit. So once students get that limit, they're cut off from Pell Grant. And we had statistics on that. And we had, that we were able to look at it. In 2015, we at EAC had 52 students that were at 400% or more. So there's 52 students that are still here or applied for financial aid at a junior college that should be working towards their bachelor's degree, because it's only 126 credits for a bachelor's degree. So once, yeah, and yeah.
Okay, so can you, let me make sure I understand. So once they get their 96 here, then they're only, how many, then they're given 30 extra more credits to get their bachelor's, or what am I not understanding?
So we allow, so it's usually, most credits, or most degrees here are 64 credits, and so we allow them that extra 36 or so, to the extra 50% to
Right.
get their 2-year degree. But then I was just letting you know that to get a bachelor's degree, it's only 126 credits.
Okay.
So, yeah.
They can get
So-
150% of the bachelor's degree also.
Yeah. So once
Okay.
they go to get their bachelor's, they can get the 150% of that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You could stretch
but
this
it's,
out for a really long time.
Yeah,
yeah,
up to 6 years now.
yeah,
And then they
Plus
cut
the
you off.
remedials, which is, what, 2 years?
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, full year, yeah.
And does that include, I don't know, do they pay for masters, or no?
No.
Okay.
Not Pell Grant.
Okay.
Nope. I don't know if stuff keeps changing, they might. I don't know. Who knows? We also have a warning status for students. Warning status means that students have if they fail to meet like the GPA requirements of a 2.0 or the completion rate of 67%, they'll be on a semester of warning. So they'll have a semester to fix that and bring it back up. But we also have a policy if a student fails to or withdraws from all classes and earns below a 1.0, they're automatically suspended if they have their cumulative GPA below a 1.0. So for example, if students here one semester, their GPA is a 0.57, then they're just going to automatically be suspended because it's just, yeah. Makes sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So if they get on warning status for that semester, let's say a student does that in the spring, then when fall comes, does that mean that they still will get financial aid? It's just that they're on warning status?
Yeah. So when they're on warning, they're still eligible for financial aid.
Okay.
Sorry. Yep. And we can send these PowerPoints to you if you don't want to. Yeah. I thought about printing them off and I forgot. Sorry.
Okay, that would be great.
But yeah.
I'm just writing.
Yes.
Okay.
I will send them to you.
Plus we'll have it on video so you can refer to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can hear yourself talk. Just kidding. Just kidding. So another one of our SAP policies is that we allow one SAP appeal at EAC. So if a student is on warning one semester and then they don't make up their GPA or completion rate after that one semester, then they're going to be suspended the next time. Students can appeal that. They have to have a good reason as to why they're appealing, but they can only do one. So they want to make sure that they're gonna get back in good standing and they're not gonna mess up again. So because if they do, if their appeal is approved and they're on a contract, they become what's on a contract. If they fail that, then they won't have any more appeals. However, if they do get back in good standing on their own, then we would pay them for financial aid. And it's pretty lenient. If you have a good reason as to why you didn't perform well, or what stopped you from performing well, we're reasonable about making it happen for them to continue on financial aid. They would just be on a contract. But some of the reasons would be a death of a family member, injury or illness of the student, change in employment or work schedule, or other special circumstances. So, and then we tell students if they don't know for sure, submit the appeal. So, we require them to provide supporting documentation to verify that it's true. It's kind of like a court case in a way that you have to say this is what really happened, and then if it's a reasonable reason, then.
Is there a form, or do they just?
Mhm.
There is a form.
There's a
And where do
form
they
online.
find that form?
It's online on the financial aid section
Okay.
of the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we suspend them, we do send them emails telling them, and it guides them to the appeal form, and the appeal form tells them exactly
What's needed?
what they need to do.
Okay.
Yeah. And most of our students do not appeal their suspensions because generally they don't have one of these good reasons. But if they submit it and they have a good reason and document it, almost all of them get approved. Unless it's mathematically impossible for them to do well, then they don't.
Some of the reasons that we're not going to obviously accept an appeal would be student says they didn't like the teacher, or they just didn't attend class and didn't do well. Couldn't get up in time. It was an online class that didn't have a computer. Didn't know that they needed the book, or they just weren't prepared for college. So we expect if the government's going to pay for a student to go to school, they need to be ready to go. So.
And every one of those was turned in by a student. We took them from appeal saying that was their reason.
And yeah, and then like I said, just acceptable documentation to support this would be death certificates or obituaries, a physician's written statement or medical records, a written statement from counselors or clergy or unaffiliated third party, or if there's documentation, there's a change in their work schedule. So,
So I'm assuming that, because the appeal thing, like a year ago or 2 years ago, there was a lot of them being made. So has that been reduced, like probably by 50% now? Because I remember when, the whole financial aid change came through, they were doing it left and right to get their credits paid for.
Yeah.
So are you guys seeing a reduction in that?
We're seeing a reduction in these appeals, the ones that she's going to talk about in a minute, the maximum credit appeals.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, they're different, and
Okay.
we have not seen a decrease in those.
Okay.
yeah, and on the, also something I was gonna say on the suspension appeals, there's a part that you have to fill out and say, okay, so if you had this extenuating circumstance, okay, what are you gonna do to fix this? It's not gonna happen again, because, we're not gonna prove it again if it happens again. It might be a sad situation, but if you didn't fix it before you're, prepare yourself, get ready to come back and do it so it doesn't happen again. So, and so there's a couple of different, we have a couple of different probation contract appeals that are approved that we do. The first one is a probation status. So this is if a student can receive the 1 semester of probation if they just need that 1 semester to get back in good standing. So they just make it up and get it done. Other students have to do an academic plan where they're going to need multiple semesters to make it up. So there is basically they're given a new satisfactory academic progress policy for themselves that may be something like, okay, you need to complete an additional 15 credits and you have to get at least a 3.0 in all those classes to bring your GPA back up, and you can't fail any more classes. So they're given that direction to get back in good standing.
So can I ask you a question?
Yep.
A student, because I see a lot of students who come back after being gone for years, and then they come back and then they try for financial aid. Do they look at their grades to determine whether they're eligible once they apply? Can they still, I guess what I'm saying is, can they still be eligible for financial aid, but then be on the appeal process as soon as they register? Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of them I've seen that blew off their, first 2 years right after high school and got W's or F's and just didn't bother to fix their transcript. And
Yeah.
so now they're coming back, and if they get financial aid, they could automatically be on a SAP?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. We check everything. Whenever we get a FAFSA in from a student, we check it to see if they're in good standing. So we check all of our regulations against each one and see, and then we just do notify them. But yeah, they have the opportunity to appeal.
Okay.
So they could get back
standing.
standing.
That was an automatic, you're not eligible because you didn't have that. The school is the one who has to notify them that they're on the appeal process and
Yeah,
give
we
them an
will.
opportunity to still come.
Yeah, we'll notify
Okay.
them. Yeah.
And they're given the 1 semester then to improve their GPA, and then if they can't, then they're not eligible? Or are they given a little bit longer?
Situations are different, so it kind of depends. Like if a student came and maybe they 6 years ago or something, and a student completed 5 credits out of 10, they would have a 50% completion rate. So we would say, okay, you're on warning because of this, even if it was like 6 years ago. So they would be on warning the first semester. And in most cases, if like you said, students that came a long time ago, they just kind of goofed off and it wasn't a big deal. But then they came and fixed themselves and do better. So usually they're going to improve. Sometimes and then they'll be off a warning and they'd be back in good standing and they'd be good. They could play in good standing the rest of the time. Sometimes it's impossible. Like if a student's on warning, if their completion rate is so low, if it's like at 13%, they're not going to make it up in 1 semester. So they're just going to be suspended the next semester. Even if they took 15 credits, it's still so far that they can't bring it back up. So they would be suspended for that.
So at the
But-
most, they're probably given about a year then to get their GPA up then.
It depends. Yeah, everybody on the academic plan, We can do an academic plan for, if they can mathematically be able to make it up within 150% time frame, then we can put them on this new SAP. They will be deficient, but we're not going to suspend them every semester if they make what we said they had to do in their academic plan. But if they fail the academic plan, there's no more appeals.
Okay.
So those that come back, like we have lots of students that were in gift and they withdrew and they want to come back 10 years later, it never goes away. Their grades never go away. Even if they weren't on financial aid, we have to count them.
Right.
And so in those circumstances, they can appeal, and we'll give them either 1 semester probation, a warning, a probation, or an academic plan.
And they work directly with financial aid on the academic plan or through a counselor?
Only us.
Okay.
Yeah, we just do the plans.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Bill just, for those, yeah, sorry.
Yes, okay.
Time frames are different, yeah. Yep. So some of the reasons that, yeah, like Bill just said, some of the reasons why an appeal would be denied is if it was academically or is mathematically impossible to make it up, get back in 67 and the 2.0. And then if we don't have documentation, we can't approve it because unfortunately anybody can say anything, and so unfortunately we have to have documentation. If a student is denied, they can request their appeal to go to the committee, and so then a committee will, financial aid committee will actually look at the appeal and evaluate it, and we do request that the student write another letter and explain why they think it should have been approved and give additional documentation, because that's going to be their last chance to do it. So then those were the SAP appeals, the Satisfactory Academic Progress appeals based on completion rate and GPA. Then we also have the maximum time frame. So this is dealing with 150% if a student is over credits, basically. So these appeals are given to students that have exceeded their 150% for their declared major. Nursing, most, like I said, most are 96 credits total. Nursing is more, I think it's 111 or something now.
7 or 8.
It's a little bit higher.
Michelle
so they get,
knows.
I'm sorry, what was it? I was.
the
Nursing is
Nursing.
107 or 8 or 11. How much? Nursing is the only one that's different.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
like 72 credits.
So it's
So then
that,
it's
yeah. So
half of that, so
150% time frame
36
on that
more,
is,
so.
yeah.
That was my question too, is whatever their major is, so if they're doing a certificate, like they're doing CNA, and that's, I believe, 18 credits. So if they're doing a
So
senior
get
with 18 credits, is that expected to be done
In 27.
in 1 semester or 2 semesters? Is that how you figure
Twen-
it, or how do you figure that 150%?
They can do, so if it's 18 credits, they get 50 more percent. So they get 9 more, so 27.
Okay.
So they would get, once they're at 27, they would be over credits at that point.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
they still get that extra 50% to try to
Gotcha.
finish it.
Now I
So, yeah.
understand. Okay,
Yep.
so.
And unlike the SAP appeals that deal with the completion rate and GPA, there is a limit on those, but the maximum time frame, there's no limit. It's as long as they are getting, as long as they complete the classes that are on their maximum credit appeal, and they don't get above the 2 associate's degrees and 3 certificates. So, and we, students can submit that and see if they're approved. And we do require students to do a maximum time frame to do it each year, do a new one. So it starts for the fall semester and ends in the summer. So we look at it all like as a school year towards. Where did that?
What if they change their major like mid-semester?
Well,
How does that work? Because like if they were doing a certificate and then they decided, you know what, I want to do an AES degree, or I want to transfer now instead of doing a certificate.
yeah.
How do you guys
They can do that.
You would just change their 150% based on their new,
Mm-hmm.
but would you count what they've already completed though as part of their 96? So
Correct.
it's kind of two different beasts, right?
Correct. It kind of,
Okay.
yeah, it kind of all depends. Yeah, but correct. If they change their degree in the middle of the semester and like, I don't want to do this, I mean, it is better for them. Even if they don't really need those credits, it's probably going to be better for them just to finish it,
Right.
because those credits are going to help them later on if they do decide to do something else. They don't want to just like have that failed semester and it's going to go bad against them on their completion rate, and then it can, change. So it is good for them to just continue in those classes if they can. But we have what's called the census date. So the census date is set so that we don't adjust financial aid up or down after that date. That date is on the last day to add and drop classes. So there shouldn't be any adjustments. So we know that, okay, as of the census date, this is what students were in. If they change their major the next day, unfortunately it's too late. Like they might, but we're only going to pay them for classes that did go towards their declared major up to that census date. So if they change it in the middle of the semester, at the end of the semester, before we award them for the next semester, we'll check we'll check their degree again to see what we can pay them for credits that go towards their declared major.
Okay.
So some of the reasons that students do appeal and are acceptable reasons is because they did change their major. They couldn't find employment, or they need additional certificates or degrees for maybe a job. I know that's required in some places. They were enrolled in dual enrollment in high school in the gift, and they might need it for acceptance to a limited entry degree program, such as nursing. 99% of the time, nursing students are approved just because they have to get all those prereqs, and it increases their credits, and so those are usually approved. And they just need a limited number of courses to complete a degree. Maybe they just need 6 credits to get their associates and just get it done. So some of the unacceptable reasons to appeal is they've already exceeded the 150% time frame at EA and are just starting a new program, and they need another full 64 credits. It's like, go get your bachelor's degree. Or they're just taking credits to defer their loans or education loans at other schools. Not going to happen. Taking courses for personal interest with no intent in finishing the degree. So it's good that the federal government has put in that rule, the 600%, because unfortunately, if students are just taking classes because they can and they're getting the money, there's going to be that stop. So it'll catch up eventually.
So let me ask you a question. If they are given the opportunity to make, to do 2 associates and 3 certificates in that 150% of time, how do you guys figure out what that 150% is? Because the student's only going to have 1 declared major, right?
It would be like each time it would be like based on, it would be like the highest one. So it's usually just like the 96.
So you do your associates, you would claim the associates.
Mhm.
That's the one you would want to have it in, and
Yeah.
then they could earn because usually they're stackable certificates
Mhm.
that lead to a degree, right?
Yes.
So that's where you're looking at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. So basically, the appeal form. Have y'all seen the appeal form? Do you
No.
want to see it?
Sure.
Okay.
I think you agree, right, Lori?
Sure.
on
She's so
it.
excited.
Isn't this relaxing? I feel relaxed.
Do you say you're meditating?
This was the meditation leadership.
Todd lied. Just kidding. So our forms go to student services, financial aid, and then you can go directly to student forms. Here's all their forms: the SAP appeal, and then maximum credit appeal. It's right here.
Maybe.
If it works. So big.
There it is, Michelle. Got it?
It's
I'll
kind
let you
of.
scroll down.
It's kind of acting weird. So
that's okay. As long
But
as I
it's-
know where to go, I'll go look.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
So and this is all in the instructions on the appeal. So the students must complete the first and third sections, and then they need to meet with an academic advisor to go over what their plan is for the next year, next full school year, and they'll complete section 2 with the advisor. And those advisors, they can be counselors or they can be an instructor that's over that program that knows what they need to get their degree. And then they will work with student, to find out what they need. And then the maximum time frame appeal is submitted to the financial aid office through the advisor or counselor, not the student. So we need to know that that's what they wanted, and student signs off on, they agree to the terms and conditions of that they will only take those classes and get their degree. So financial aid office will review the appeals and approves them based on the academic plan, or they will review it and they will just decide that the student doesn't meet the qualifications for approval, so then they'll be denied. And then we notify the student in writing. We email them and let them know what the outcome is. So, and like I said, and Bill said as well, most appeals are approved if there's a good reason. So just those handful are ones that are usually denied. So
If they're on a plan, do you guys go back, they're on a plan, let's say at the beginning of the fall, do you guys at the end go back and review their grades and see if they had any withdrawals or failures? And if they did, then they would owe that money back? No, they don't?
So it depends. Everything depends. So after the end of every semester, we check the students that were on appeals and see how they did. If if a student was taking 6 credits and they withdrew from all of them on that plan, they would automatically be suspended and no more appeals because they didn't complete those as was supposed to. And then depending upon what time, when they withdrew from all those classes, they could possibly owe money back. So everything depends. Depends on when it happened, how many credits they were in, if student was in, because if Bill's actually going to talk about that next, but if a student withdraws from everything, we have to perform what's called a return to Title IV and calculate how much money was earned during the semester that the student earned, or if the student owes any money back to the school or to the government. So they could possibly.
But generally, they'll finish one class so that they don't owe anything back.
Yeah.
If they complete two credits or more in a semester, then they won't owe anything back. Or if they withdraw after the 60% time.
But it'll catch up with them with the completion rate, because all those withdrawals are going to bring their completion rate
If
down.
they're on this appeal, if they don't finish one class that's in this appeal, then they get no more appeals. They're done.
So, I thought that was it.
Do you guys send that information to FAFSA so that they know that? So let's say a student goes from here to ASU and then they apply for financial aid. Is it automatically on their record so that way, no? So could they, do you know what I mean? They would start over on a SAP at their facility? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Everything's kind of, like a student can go to, it depends on where they go to, because like some colleges require them to transfer their degree or their credits. And if, like with us at EA, we don't require it, but sometimes the government tells us that we have to get that information, their transcripts from other schools. So we have to require it and look at it to make sure that they had good standing while they're at other schools. And they have to, I don't know if we'll talk about it in this or not, but
We don't.
Okay, so if they, it's called an unusual enrollment. So if they have attended like 2 or 3 schools in the last like 2 or 3 years, they're flagged so that we have to, or if they received Pell Grant at those schools, they're flagged, so then we have to look at their academic transcripts and see if they completed any courses there. If they didn't, then we can suspend them. Or we actually are supposed to suspend them. Because it makes it look like they're just going to schools, getting money, and going to the next school, getting money. And so, but they can do a suspension appeal, and if they have a good reason and documentation to support that, yes, I withdrew or failed all of my classes for this reason. So yeah. So
Yeah.
a lot of things kind of depend, and then sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
But and then, so just like with so students, when they're on their appeal, they have to take classes only required that were on there. They're going to be no more appeals, and then also on the maximum time frame appeals, students can take. Well, they're only supposed to take credits that go towards their declared major to finish up. Sometimes students might need to take other classes to get a scholarship, or it's a class that's going to help them. Like, I know a lot of music classes, it's good for them to take extra music classes because they're going to go on to a university, and it's encouraged that this is going to help them later on. So they can take those classes. It just has to be written in that they don't need it for their major, but they can take it. So that way they're not going to get paid for it, but they can still take it. And
They don't count those towards the 96?
They do. They still do.
Okay.
And the students do have to, if it's on their degree, they still have to finish it. Even if it's not required for their major, they still have to finish it. So, and then, like the STEP appeal, a student can appeal their credit appeal to financial aid committee. We'll review it. They need to write a letter why. It needs to be looked at, and then that's the final decision. And then Mr. Osborn is going to be discussing return to Title IV.
So we're
Yay!
not looking forward to.
Taking attendance. What is a return to Title IV funds? Exsa kind of explained this, but briefly, a student earns their financial aid funds by the number of days that they attend class. And so each day that they come, there's a formula that says, based on you got this X amount of money from us, so each day you're in school, you're earning that money, up to 60% in the semester. And after the 60% point, then you've earned it all. But we have to calculate the return for anybody who withdraws from all of their classes. So in a semester, well, this semester, it had 111 days, and generally it's 17 weeks. It's about 111, 110 days in a semester. So this student completed 16 of those days. So they earned 14% of the money that they were given. So they're going to owe some money back. So this student, based on their institutional charges, and there's two parts to this. The student can owe money back, and EAC can owe money back, because we didn't earn all of our tuition. So we don't get to keep all of the tuition that the government paid for. So the first part of the calculation is, how much of the tuition money does the EAC get to keep? And in this instance, the student went half-time. So they were charged $200, their tuition was $200. So we had to give back to the government $171. So that, we pull that back in the Pell Grant, and then the student has that charge on their account. So we notify the student, hey, your tuition is unpaid now because you withdrew and the government doesn't want to pay for what you didn't earn, the tuition, part of your tuition now. So you owe EAC $171. The other part of this could be, the other part I didn't put in, the other part could be that the student, based on this number of days, could also owe money back from the funds that we gave them. It's in most of the calculations, if they withdraw in like the first 3 weeks of school, they're going to owe money back too. After that, generally the student only has to pay EAC that tuition money back. The key to all of this is the verifiable last date of attendance for the student. So if we do not have a verifiable date of attendance, then we have to use what's called the 50% rule. You know that instructors, we have told them, if you fail a student or a student withdraws, you need to record the last verifiable date of attendance. The purpose of that is so that we don't have to use the 50% rule. A couple of years ago, every student that withdrew, we were using the 50% rule. That means we have to pay back 50% of the tuition on every student who got financial aid who withdraws if we don't have a last verifiable date of attendance. We do not want to do that. That costs us tens of thousands of dollars as an institution. If we get a date, then we can actually determine this is what we really earned and this is what the student really earned. And then again, after the 60% point, then we don't have to pay anything back. And generally, the students who do unofficially withdraw, that means they earned an F, or the instructor gave them a W at the end of the semester. They've generally attended past the 60% time. And that's what we're seeing when the instructors are reporting that date. So if after that time, then we don't have to pay anything back. We're saving tens of thousands of dollars to the institution. That's positions for us. Okay, examples of academic activities. These are things that instructors, and I wish that all the instructors were here, and hopefully I'm going to have a presentation with them, and I'll show you why if we get to it, but we're about 5 minutes left. These are the things that we can count as academic activities, and we're going to send this to you so you will see, but anything that the student does that they turn into a teacher, that can be recorded and documented, we can count as an academic activity, and that would be the last date of attendance. Now, this is an issue that we have right now at EAC. We have to report every 30 days, actually it's 60 days, but our schedule is that we have to report every 30 days on students that are enrolled the beginning of the semester on their enrollment status. If we do not report accurately to the National Student Loan Data System, then students who have loans, our gainful employment information that we provide is not accurate. We have students that come to us, my loan went into repayment. Their loan went into repayment because we didn't report accurately to NSLDS that they were in school. That causes interest payments, it causes all kinds of penalties for the student. So we're held accountable for that. We have right now, in our last audit, we were found a finding because we weren't reporting accurately our information to the NSLDS. And this is what happens. We allow instructors to withdraw students at any point in time. And so if a student, and to put the date of their last academic activity, so let's say the instructor waits to the end of the semester to withdraw the student, but they actually quit attending 3 months before, and that's the date they put as their withdrawal, we're out of compliance. You see why? See the problem? We got to fix that.
Oh.
Can I ask you, if they put the W at the end, are they given a space to put the date in? Does that?
Yes.
But what doesn't matter because it's already after the fact?
Yes.
Gotcha.
If they put the date, they should have, and our policy, according to the provost, our policy is that when the student stops attending, if they haven't been there for what, a week, they're to withdraw them or find out why they're not there and put that as the date, the last date of attendance. But too many times, we're waiting until the end of the semester, and it's particularly true if it's a adjunct, because they get, you know why.
Yes, I know why.
Yeah, but we got to fix that, because if we don't, we're going to face some very serious penalties. There are some parts about who's an eligible student and what is an eligible institution. It's pretty another complex part of this, which we don't have time for. I'm going to finish up right now. And if you have questions after you review the PowerPoint, then please come and ask us. I think we've covered the most essential parts that we wanted to get to today. And there's, I mean, with financial aid and regulations, we can go on, and it changes every year. Sometimes it changes every month. And so it's oftentimes difficult to keep up with it, but we thank you for coming, even though you thought it was meditation.
Now you'll really be able to relax because you're like so stressed. Now you're gonna be like, you're gonna see it work.
I think
Meditation one now.
I think we're both going to meditation next.
Yep, follow you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Did y'all have any questions or anything? Last minute questions?
I don't have any